to the CEO of Amazon, telling the company's employees that some of their jobs will be replaced by AI.
Amazon Web Services unveiling a new chip intended to take on NVIDIA, of course, in those cloud wars.
Millions of Americans staying at home are relying on Amazon.
From humble beginnings in Albuquerque to becoming the richest man in modern history, Jeff Bezos transformed how the world shops, reads, and even travels to space. But behind the rapid rise of Amazon lies a story of relentless ambition, calculated risks, and a man obsessed with the long game. Jeffrey Preston Bezos was born on January 12, 1964 in Albuquerque, New Mexico. His biological father, Ted Jorgensen, was a unicyclist and part-time circus performer. However, Jeff was adopted by Miguel "Mike" Bezos, a Cuban immigrant who came to the US alone at 16. Jeff took his stepfather's last name, Bezos, and the family eventually settled in Houston, Texas. From a young age, Bezos showed signs of genius and curiosity. He converted his garage into a laboratory and rigged an electric alarm system to keep his siblings out of his room. Inside that early garage turned lab, Bezos kept an assortment of gears, tools, and science kits. He would dismantle radios and reassemble them, often improving their function or creating new inventions. He even built a home solar cooker and constructed a hovercraft using a vacuum cleaner. This early tinkering foreshadowed the innovation he would one day bring to the world. Jeff's mother, Jackie, was just 17 when he was born and showed immense resilience in raising him while completing her education. Mike Bezos, who adopted Jeff when he was 4, worked as an engineer at Exxon. His job eventually took the family to Florida, where they settled in Miami. It was there that Jeff attended Miami Palmetto Senior High School. In high school, Bezos was valedictorian and even started his first business, a summer educational camp for younger students called the Dream Institute. He was obsessed with space, often telling friends he wanted to build hotels and amusement parks in orbit. He also worked at McDonald's during the summer, developing an early appreciation for work ethic and systems management. He later attended Princeton University, enrolling in 1982 and majoring in electrical engineering and computer science. At Princeton, Bezos was known for his intense intellectual curiosity and drive. He spent countless hours in the computer lab, becoming a standout in a rigorous program that trained some of the best minds in technology. He was also a member of the Quadrangle Club and worked with Professor Jeffrey Ullman, a pioneer in programming languages and compilers. Bezos co-founded the Princeton chapter of Students for the Exploration and Development of Space, SEDS, reflecting his early passion for space. He was elected to Phi Beta Kappa, one of the nation's most prestigious academic honor societies, and graduated summa cum laude in 1986, ranking near the top of his class. Bezos began his post-college career at Phytel, a startup that focused on building international trade networks for financial institutions. There, he worked on telecommunication systems for transferring data across borders. Early exposure to the potential of tech-driven business. It was a high-pressure environment where Bezos quickly developed a reputation for intense focus and long hours. After Phytel, he joined Bankers Trust in 1988, where he became vice president. He was responsible for building and managing high-level software that handled millions of financial assets. His role demanded precision and an understanding of both technology and investment risk. This experience helped sharpen the skills he would later use to architect Amazon's back-end systems. In 1990, Bezos joined D.E. Shaw & Co., a Wall Street hedge fund led by computer scientist David E. Shaw, known for its data-driven investment strategies. D.E. Shaw was pioneering a new era of algorithmic trading. Bezos quickly rose through the ranks, and by 1992, he was named the firm's youngest ever senior vice president. He was tasked with identifying new investment opportunities on emerging platforms like the internet. It was at D.E. Shaw that Bezos encountered the staggering statistic that internet usage was growing at over 2,300% per year. He recognized this as a once-in-a-generation opportunity. He began compiling a list of ideas that could thrive online, everything from software sales to real estate listings. But one idea kept resurfacing: books. Books were ideal for the online marketplace, easy to ship, vast in variety, and with universal appeal. At that time, even the largest bookstores could only carry a fraction of what was available in print. The internet could offer infinite shelf space. Bezos developed what he called his regret minimization framework, a personal thought experiment in which he imagined himself at 80, wondering if he would regret not having seized the opportunity. The answer was a definite yes. He also met his future wife, Mackenzie Scott, at D.E. Shaw. She was a research associate who helped write Amazon's first business plan. The two would later marry in 1993, and she would play a key role in the company's earliest days. Armed with a clear vision, Bezos made the bold decision to leave behind a secure, high-paying job to pursue his dream and build the world's largest online bookstore from scratch. In 1994, Bezos left D.E. Shaw, drove cross-country to Seattle with Mackenzie, and founded Amazon from a garage with a pot-bellied stove and a door-turned desk. The garage was modest and cluttered, with cables running across the floor, whiteboards filled with scribbles, and stacks of computer equipment humming day and night. The iconic desk, made from a cheap wooden door mounted on 4x4s, became symbolic of Amazon's scrappy and frugal beginnings. He chose Seattle because of its growing tech scene and proximity to Ingram, one of the largest book distributors in the US. Bezos knew he needed access to rapid distribution networks and software engineers. The first iteration of the Amazon website was built with the help from Shel Kafan, Amazon's first employee and a former programmer from Kaleida Labs. The site launched with a clean, text-based interface and a very bold claim: Earth's biggest bookstore. The first months were grueling. Bezos and his team worked 12-hour days, 6 days a week. Orders were processed manually at first. When someone ordered a book, the team would buy it from distributors and ship it themselves. Jeff would often personally pack boxes on the concrete floor, sometimes even driving them to the post office. Mackenzie handled much of the accounting and helped draft Amazon's business plan, while Nick Lovejoy, a former colleague of Bezos, helped troubleshoot the software. Paul Barton Davis helped architect the back-end code that would power the growing site. Bezos insisted on measuring everything. He introduced metrics for website performance, customer satisfaction, and shipping speed. If a metric wasn't improving, it was immediately addressed. That obsessive attention to data helped Amazon scale with clarity. Amazon officially went live on July 16, 1995. Within 30 days, it had shipped orders to all 50 US states and more than 45 countries. The rapid growth was fueled by word of mouth and media buzz. Bezos famously rang a bell in the office every time a new order came in. Initially, this was a cause for celebration, but soon, the bell was ringing too often, and they had to stop. The company quickly outgrew the garage. As order volume exploded, Amazon moved into a warehouse and began hiring more staff. But Bezos' philosophy didn't change. He still demanded frugality, innovation, and a relentless focus on the customer. His infamous motto, "It's always day one," was born during these early years, reminding employees that they were just getting started. Despite mounting costs and investor skepticism, Bezos refused to prioritize profits over growth. He reinvested every dollar into improving infrastructure, technology, and customer experience. His long-term mindset earned him critics in the short term, but believers in the long game were handsomely rewarded. That bold vision, grounded in simplicity and execution, turned Amazon from a garage project into one of the fastest-growing companies in internet history. Amazon launched officially on July 16, 1995. The initial launch was modest, with just a handful of categories: books, customer reviews, and search tools. But the traction was immediate. Within the first month, Amazon had shipped books to all 50 states and more than 45 countries. Revenue in the first year hit $511,000, a huge success for a company still operating with barely a dozen employees. By 1996, revenue had grown to $15.7 million, and in 1997, Amazon's growth caught the attention of Wall Street. That May, the company held its initial public offering, IPO, offering shares at $18 apiece under the ticket symbol AMZN. The IPO raised $54 million and valued the company at around $438 million. Despite the IPO buzz, Amazon had yet to turn a profit. But Bezos made it clear that profits weren't the priority, market dominance was. In his 1997 shareholder letter, Bezos famously laid out his philosophy: "It's all about the long term." That letter is still referenced today as a blueprint for customer-obsessed business models. Amazon's model, offering vast selections, fast service, and competitive prices, stood out in a sea of untested internet startups. As other dot-coms burned through cash with little return, Amazon focused on logistics, efficiency, and technology. It quickly added new categories like music, DVDs, and electronics. Between 1998 and 1999, Amazon expanded aggressively, acquiring companies like Junglee, Bookpages, Telebook, and IMDb. Each acquisition served a strategic purpose: data mining, global expansion, or customer engagement. The company also invested in building out massive fulfillment centers to speed up shipping and enhance customer satisfaction. By 1999, Amazon's revenues had surged past $1.6 billion. That same year, Time magazine named Jeff Bezos Person of the Year, recognizing him as a pioneer of the digital age. But the meteoric rise came with enormous pressure. Operating losses were still piling up, and the critics questioned whether Amazon's strategy was sustainable. Then came the dot-com crash. In 2000, the bubble burst and investor confidence in internet companies evaporated. Amazon's stock, which had peaked at $106, plunged to just $6 per share. Hundreds of dot-coms went bankrupt, yet Amazon survived. Why? Because unlike its peers, Amazon had built real infrastructure, fulfillment centers, proprietary software, customer data, and supply chain optimization gave it staying power. Bezos cut costs, laid off 15% of the workforce, and pushed the company toward operational efficiency. It was a brutal period, but Bezos never wavered. He believed in his flywheel model. Better customer experience leads to more traffic, which attracts more sellers, which lowers prices, which in turn improves the customer experience. And that cycle would only grow stronger with time. The crash tested Amazon's resilience, but it also became the crucible that hardened the company into a dominant force. By 2001, while most dot-com startups had vanished, Amazon was still standing and ready for its next evolution. In the early 2000s, Bezos launched a series of initiatives that would solidify Amazon's dominance, not just as a bookstore, but as the everything store. One of the most transformative moves came in 2005 with the introduction of Amazon Prime. For $79 a year, customers could receive unlimited 2-day shipping on eligible items. What seemed like a costly gamble turned into a masterstroke. It changed consumer expectations forever and created immense customer loyalty. Over time, Prime expanded to include streaming video, music, free Kindle books, and exclusive deals. Bezos understood that convenience was king. Prime members not only spent more on Amazon, they shopped more frequently and relied on the platform as their default for online purchases. By 2020, Prime had over 150 million members worldwide, helping transform Amazon from a marketplace into an indispensable ecosystem. But logistics couldn't keep up without infrastructure. To support Prime, Amazon began building massive fulfillment centers strategically located near major metro areas. The company invested heavily in robotics and automation, acquiring Kiva Systems in 2012 to revolutionize warehouse efficiency. Delivery speeds improved, error rates dropped, and Amazon's logistics empire became a competitive moat few could replicate. Then came Amazon Web Services, or AWS. Launched in 2006, AWS began as an internal solution to Amazon's infrastructure scaling problems. But soon, it was open to external developers and startups, offering cloud storage, computing power, and database services. It quietly grew in the background, and by 2010 had become a core revenue driver. By 2022, AWS accounted for over 70% of Amazon's operating income and supported major clients like Netflix, NASA, Airbnb, and the US government. It enabled a generation of digital startups to scale without the traditional hardware costs and position Amazon as not just a retail company, but a backbone of the internet itself. Innovation didn't stop there. In 2007, Bezos unveiled the Kindle, an e-reader designed to kill the book to save reading. With built-in wireless access, the Kindle allowed users to download books in seconds, launching the era of digital reading. Within 4 years, Amazon was selling more ebooks than print. Bezos' thinking was always ahead of the curve. He encouraged bold bets, even if they failed. Initiatives like Amazon Fresh, Dash Buttons, and Fire Phone didn't always succeed, but they created a culture of experimentation, one that prized risk, iteration, and long-term thinking over immediate profits. Between 2005 and 2015, Amazon expanded its product categories exponentially, from books and electronics to groceries, fashion, cloud services, and entertainment. This relentless expansion was powered by a growing team of engineers, product managers, and a data-driven culture that dissected every customer click. By the mid-2010s, Amazon was no longer just a store. It was a technology giant, a logistics empire, a content producer, and a data powerhouse. Through Prime, AWS, and constant innovation, Bezos had built a business that touched nearly every part of modern life and was just getting started. By the late 2000s, Amazon was expanding at an unprecedented pace, and Jeff Bezos knew that maintaining agility would require more than infrastructure. It would require a distinct company culture. Bezos introduced leadership principles that emphasized ownership, frugality, bias for action, and customer obsession. He infamously implemented the two-pizza team rule, ensuring that no team was so large that two pizzas couldn't feed them. The goal was to preserve a startup mentality inside a corporate behemoth. Bezos was relentless about maintaining high standards. He instituted bar-raising interviews and mechanisms like the narrative memo to replace PowerPoint presentations and meetings. Instead of slides, employees wrote 6-page memos explaining their ideas. It forced clarity, deep thinking, and better decisions. This culture powered Amazon's acquisitions and innovations. The company bought Zappos in 2009 to learn about customer service, and Whole Foods in 2017 to enter the grocery market and build physical distribution closer to urban consumers. In the same year, Amazon crossed the $1 trillion market cap, solidifying its place as a global titan. But Bezos' ambitions weren't limited to Earth. Back in 2000, with little fanfare, he founded Blue Origin, his secretive aerospace company aimed at making space travel more affordable and sustainable. The company's motto, Gradatim Ferociter, or step by step, ferociously, embodied Bezos' belief in long-term, incremental progress. For years, Blue Origin worked in the background, developing reusable rockets like the New Shepard and testing vertical landings, a concept once considered science fiction. In 2015, Blue Origin became the first company to successfully land a vertical rocket booster. And in July 2021, Bezos made headlines around the world when he launched into suborbital space aboard New Shepard alongside his brother, Mark. To critics, it was a billionaire's vanity project, but for Bezos, it was the first step in a broader vision, moving heavy industry off Earth, preserving the planet, and eventually enabling millions of people to live and work in space. In interviews, he often cited science fiction legends like Isaac Asimov and Star Trek as early inspirations. Whether building rockets or robotic warehouses, Bezos' approach remained the same. Think long-term, embrace failure, and never stop iterating. It was his philosophy that made Amazon not just a company, but a symbol of 21st century ambition, and Blue Origin its celestial counterpart. As Amazon became a household name and a global superpower, the spotlight on Jeff Bezos intensified, not just as a CEO, but as a person. In January 2019, Bezos and his wife of 25 years, Mackenzie Scott, announced their divorce. The split was amicable, and Mackenzie received 25% of their Amazon stock, worth about $38 billion at the time, making her one of the wealthiest women in the world. She would go on to become one of the most prominent philanthropists of the decade, donating billions to education, racial equality, and climate causes. Shortly after the divorce, Bezos found himself at the center of a media firestorm when his phone was reportedly hacked via a WhatsApp message linked to Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. The leak revealed personal messages and spurred international controversy. Bezos responded by publishing a blog post accusing tabloid outlets of blackmail and extortion, reinforcing his image as both a fierce competitor and someone unafraid to challenge powerful adversaries. In July 2021, Bezos stepped down as CEO of Amazon, handing the reins to longtime Lieutenant Andy Jassy, who had built Amazon Web Services into a juggernaut. Bezos transitioned to the role of executive chairman, shifting his focus toward innovation, philanthropy, and space exploration. That same month, he flew to space on Blue Origin's New Shepard, marking a symbolic new chapter in his life. Even after stepping down, Bezos remained deeply influential. He launched the $10 billion Bezos Earth Fund to fight climate change, supported COVID-19 relief efforts, and continued investing in media through ownership of the Washington Post. He also began constructing the 10,000-year clock in a West Texas mountain, a project symbolizing long-term thinking and human progress. As of 2024, Bezos' net worth hovers above $180 billion, making him one of the richest individuals on Earth. Amazon, now with over $500 billion in annual revenue and hundreds of millions of Prime members, continues to grow across industries from healthcare to AI. Bezos' legacy is complex and layered. He revolutionized e-commerce, cloud computing, logistics, publishing, and space travel. Critics argue that Amazon's rise came with costs, aggressive labor practices, marketplace dominance, and privacy concerns. Yet, few can deny the scale of his impact. From a garage in Seattle to the edge of space, Jeff Bezos reshaped how we live, work, shop, and dream. His story is a testament to the power of vision, obsession, and execution. And it's far from over.